Is Google killing websites? Here is my response to all of this AI panic. So, this week I've watched a couple of YouTube videos. One was basically saying Google might have just killed websites, and another was saying this is the end of search as we know it. Now, if you spent any time online lately, you've probably seen headlines like the end of the traffic era. Google is replacing all websites. Search is dead. The internet is over. And at this point, I feel like the internet has officially entered its dramatic Victorian novel phase. Let me explain what I mean. Every week, something is dying. One week, it's SEO that's dead. Another, it's blogs are dead. The websites are dead. Email is dead. Social media is dead. And yet somehow we're all still here, and somehow I still have like 50 open tabs on my phone and another 85 on my laptop. And I'm sure 6 months from now, that'll probably be the case. But let me know what you think. I went ahead and just made myself some tea, and I took a minute to think about this. Because I'm a web designer and this is my livelihood. I'm also a blogger, and I work on this small agency, Star Web Boutique. And according to the internet, I should apparently be panicking. My heart should be throbbing and I should be freaking out. However, that's not the case. I'm not worried. Now, don't get me wrong. This is a dramatic shift. Things are changing, and I mean really changing. Google has made AI a major part of search, and that's not going anywhere. AI summaries are appearing before website links. AI search is becoming more controversial. People are getting answers without clicking through websites as often as they used to. And yeah, many publishers are seeing traffic declines because of that. Those concerns are real, but I think there's a huge difference between the world is ending and the world is changing. Because websites didn't disappear when social media arrived. They didn't disappear when smartphones arrived. Websites didn't disappear when Facebook pages became very popular. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think they're going to disappear now. I think quite the contrary. I think they're going to be very important now. However, they need to evolve. Websites are going to need to evolve. In fact, I would argue that websites are becoming more important in some ways, because if ChatGPT recommends a business, where does it send people? A website. If Google AI cites a source, where does that source point? Well, a website. If someone hears about your business on YouTube, where will they eventually go? A website. A website's still going to be the home base for a lot of businesses. What's changing is how people discover it. And honestly, I think some of the panic comes from confusing traffic with value. Some people are just confusing website traffic and the value of information. For years, we were taught to get traffic, get more traffic, and just get all the traffic. But if AI sends fewer visitors who are more qualified, is that necessarily bad? If 10 people visit your website and to become customers, that's better than 100 visitors who bounce after 5 seconds. As a small business owner, I don't need the whole internet. I need the right people. And here's the other thing. AI can summarize information. It can get facts. It can get instructions. But it cannot summarize being human or the human experience. This is where we talk about user experience and design being crucial, and storytelling and content-driven value, personality, branding, unique perspectives, things that really matter. What makes a company unique? Nobody can tell a story of being, for instance, in my case, a homeschooling mom building a web agency with my spouse. That is very unique to me. And on top of that, I am low vision disabled. So my experience as a UX designer is so unique that only I can tell my story. And I'm willing to bet, probably the only Hispanic woman, low vision mom who's homeschools and is primarily a homemaker, building web agency, UX designer. So that's very, 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 very specific to who I am. And if you're a business owner hearing this, you're like, how does this apply to me? Well, no one's going to be able to tell your story either. Uh, Businesses and brands are very much like fingerprints, they're very unique. And as long as you're able, there's a really good book, Story Worthy and Stories That Sell by Matthew Dix. Highly recommend those books. And they tell you about how businesses can craft their stories. And that is going to be so crucial. That's why I think that the future belongs to people who create things worth talking about. I think that we're going to see a rise in more useful websites, helpful content, strong brands, communities, stories. My husband's working on a really cool project that's going to be able to create to really like tie in geek fandoms to AI marketing. And I think it's gonna be really cool for people in specific niches to be able to go find specific events that they're looking for. And I think it's gonna be so great in the near future for actual connection to be happening when people are able to find the right businesses. And if businesses are open and willing to adapt, which unfortunately Google's pretty much forcing, that's not something I really like. I don't like when big tech industry decides how smaller businesses have to conduct their business. That is not something that I like as a business owner, and I have concerns for. At the same time, there is reason to be excited about new and emerging technologies. I don't think that websites are dying, if that's what you're concerned about. I think the lazy website era is very quickly ending. I think the generic content era is also ending. For sure. I know that the whole writing 500 articles and hope that Google will send traffic era is for sure dead. But websites, they'll still be there. The internet's not going to end either. It's renovating itself. It's changing. It's evolving and becoming more dynamic. And if you ever renovated a house, you'll know that it looks terrifying for a little before it starts to look better. I'd love to know what you think. Are you worried about AI search? Have you had good or bad experiences with it thus far? And what do you think? Are we just living through another big shift in how people find information online? I would love to know, and I'll be reading all of the comments in the comment section. And please hit subscribe. I'm a new YouTuber, and I'm pretty excited to be sharing my thoughts. Until next time.